How do I write a landlord eviction notice? Many jurisdictions require landlords to provide notice before they evict tenants. If you live in such a jurisdiction, you will typically have to write a landlord eviction notice that informs your tenant of your intent to evict him and the reason for the eviction. In most jurisdictions, you will have to sign and date the notice, give the tenant a specific amount of time to vacate the rental property, and mail or personally deliver it. Since requirements can vary significantly, however, you may do well to check the laws in your jurisdiction before you begin. When you have to write a landlord eviction notice, you may do well to start out by learning the laws in your jurisdiction. Your jurisdiction may have unique laws that govern when you can legally evict someone and the procedures you'll have to follow to do so. Your jurisdiction may also have laws that stipulate the amount of notice you have to give a tenant before you can begin legal eviction proceedings. If you fail to observe the procedures required in your jurisdiction, your tenant may have a valid defense against eviction. A landlord eviction notice should usually take a professional tone. You'll typically need to compose the letter in business format, sign it, and date it. It is usually best to avoid emotional language, threats, and long lists of grievances in a landlord eviction letter. You may do well to limit your notice to informing the tenant that you want him to vacate the rental property and giving him the reason for the eviction. If, for example, you want to evict him for breaking the terms of the lease, you will typically need to make this clear in your notice. In most jurisdictions, a landlord eviction notice must give a tenant a specific amount of time to vacate the rental property before legal eviction proceedings begin. In some jurisdictions, you may be required to give a tenant 30 days notice before eviction. In others, you may be required to provide it 10 days notice, and some jurisdictions require as little as 5 days. If you fail to provide the tenant with the proper amount of notice, this could delay the eviction proceedings. Sometimes landlords send eviction notices in the hopes that their tenants will take action to move, pay past due rent, or fix lease violations without the involvement of courts or law enforcement officials. This may be your hope, but you may do well to plan your next step, just in case your tenant doesn't take action. For example, depending on your jurisdiction, you may file a complaint with the court to legally evict him or seek the help of law enforcement officials in locking the tenant out after proper notice has been given. No matter what your plans are for your next step, you will likely have to include them in your letter. After you've written a landlord eviction notice, you will typically need to send it to your tenant. In some places, you may be allowed to send the notice through the mail, while others may require you to provide personal service of the eviction notice. If you send the notice through the mail, you may do well to pay for proof of delivery. This way, the tenant cannot claim he never received it.